Welcome, Annie Collins here from Magic Crafts. Today we're going to create this lovely congratulations card. Let me quickly go over the products I used to create this card. From Hero Arts I have this color layering stamp set. It's called Rose, and it has 3 pieces for our rose, 2 pieces for each of the leaves, and 2 pieces for our stem. You can turn the packaging over and it shows you how easily it is to layer everything. I have shades of pink for our rose. I have our lightest color is Pixie Dust. Our medium tone will be Pink Petunia, and our darkest will be Brick Red. So Pink Petunia is this middle. So let me put these in the correct order. I have everything out of order here. Let me go do a quick switch around. All right, so for the leaves, we're going to be using Sage for our lightest and Green Oasis for the outline. For the stem, we'll be using Green Oasis with a little bit of a hint of Pesto for our outline. And I'll have all these listed in the description box below, and you'll see it when we stamp. And I'm also going to bring in a little bit of Memento Ink and Summer Sky for our background. So for our background, I'm going to bring in for my stash this embossing folder. Now if you don't have an embossing folder like this, or any embossing folder, you can use a stencil, or you could just use the ink. To adhere our card together, we're going to use on point glue and tear tape. We're going to create an A2 card. So this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I have 110-pound white cardstock that will be embossing, and our card base, which is also made from 110 pounds. So let's jump into it. For this demonstration of how easy it is to layer and use our inks, I'm going to use Accent Opaque White 80-pound cardstock. First, I pull out the base layer of the rose, and I use Pixie Dust VersaMagic ink to stamp it. Next, I'll bring in the next layer, which is a little bit more detail of the rose, and then I'm going to line it up, and I'll use Pink Petunia, and I'll stamp that out. Next, I'll bring in the last layer of the rose, which brings in all the little fine details of it, line it up so it matches, and then I will bring in red brick. This will give us some nice dark shadowing. I'll give that a good press. And here, I'll bring it a little bit closer so you can see all the nice detail. Alright, as you can see, that's what we did. Now for the leaves, I don't stamp them out here, but you get the general idea. You do the same as you did for the rose. For our leaf, again, we use Sage and then Green Oasis. For our stem, we use Oasis, Green Oasis, and then a hint of Pesto. Alright, so let's work on our background. For our background, we're going to use Memento Ink and Summer Sky. I'm just going to create like an oval, just a nice hint of color. I'm not looking for a dark color, so I'm going to use a blending brush from my supplies here, just to create this nice oval of ink on the background. I haven't ran this through my embossing folder yet. This is just a straight, plain cardstock. This is 110-pound cardstock, but you can use any weight you prefer. So I'm just going to keep creating that little oval. I bring in my items just to see if I have enough. Once I do, I place my panel into my embossing folder, and I'll run this through my my die cutting machine, which I have off screen. I have a little bit of trimming to do here. I'm going to trim this down so that we have about 1/4 of an inch or so left all around, so we have a nice border on our card. I'll give that a quick trim. Yep, we have it how I want it. Get rid of all the extras. And now I'm going to use tear tape to adhere this panel onto our card base. So I'm just going to put some on the back quickly right here, and then I'll remove all the backing pieces. And this is some really good strong tape, so you don't need a lot, but since this is embossed, I'm going to add a little extra in the center. So now I'm going to line that up and press it down. Oh, I got a little smudge there, so I use my sand eraser to remove it. So to adhere our rose, I'm going to use the On Point glue. I'm going to start with our stem, and my mat is crooked, so give me a second to straighten it out, because I'm going to use my mat grid lines here, and this is Magic Crafts silicone craft mat. So I'm going to use the grid lines on it to line everything up. This mat is very versatile. One side has the grid lines and the other side does not, so it's great for ink blending and watercoloring with your inks inside. Now, from my stash, I die cut the word congratulations twice from the heavyweight white cardstock, which is 110 pounds, like I said, and once out of glitter pink cardstock. This is a real soft pale pink. It actually matches the Pixie Dust ink nicely, almost perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead and stack those so I create like a chipboard piece. Once I do that, I'm going to again use the on point glue, put little bits of it on the back, and I'll adhere that across our rose stem here. I'm just going to press that in place, and I just put the acrylic box because you got to remember we're adhering it to the texture of the embossing that we created with the embossing folder. From my stash, I'm going to bring in some little bubbles. These are like acrylic bubbles. And I bring in 2 in clear, 2 in pink, and 1 in blue. And that's just going to add a soft accent to our card. I create a cluster of 3 towards the bottom right, and I put 2 towards the top, and our card is complete. This is an easy card because between the inks and the layering stamp, it does all that work for you. Again, we use VersaMagic and Pixie Dust, Pink Petunia, Red Brick, Sage, Oasis Green, and hint of Pesto. I, of course, will have everything linked for you in the description box below. We have our on point glue and tear tape to put everything together. This went so quickly that you can get this done in under 30 minutes. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you found some inspiration.